Hey, thanks for being here today. In this episode, we're going to build our first antenna, which is going to be the dipole. So, stay tuned.
CQ, CQ, CQ. This is KJ7IAZ.
Hey guys, I'm Jeremy, KJ7IAZ, and I'm going to show you guys today how to build a dipole and how easy it can be. So first things first is we need to figure out which band we want to be, which frequency that we want to kind of target on this dipole. So that just takes a little bit of math, and I've got a really handy spreadsheet available to me. And if you follow me, I'll go over to the computer and I'll show you how to use that. This thing's going to be available on my website and on my Facebook page. So if you guys need to, go ahead and get it. I'll have links in the description. So go check it out. If anything, if that's the only thing you get out of this video, you'll probably be happy you watched. So go ahead and as soon as the video is done, go over there and get that.
All right, guys, so the first thing we need to do is figure out which band we want to do, which frequency we want to tune this dipole to. So I have the band chart up here. I think I want to do 15 meters. I don't have one right now up, so I'm going to build a 15 meter antenna. So I'm looking at this frequency chart and I'm thinking, okay, where do I want to tune this thing? And I'm thinking like somewhere right around here, because that's going to give me kind of the middle of the band. So let's go to 21.250. That's what our target frequency is going to be. So once we know what our target frequency is going to be, we will go over to this spreadsheet, which you can get on my website or on my Facebook page. I'll put some links in the description on where you can go to get this. So I've inputted this in here. I'll do it again, 21.250. I'm going to hit enter. It's going to give me the different lengths. So wavelength, half wavelength, and quarter wavelength. And just kind of shows meters, feet, and inches, so you can kind of use it however you want there. But I'm going to come down here. Since I got a dipole, I got two quarter wavelengths. One comes off the shield and one comes off the center conductor. So I'm going to need two lengths of wire, 11.58 feet. So after we get this thing built and we hang it up where we're going to have it, we'll go ahead and sweep this thing with an antenna analyzer, and we're going to figure out what the resonant frequency is. If it comes back at, say, 20 megahertz, we'll hit enter there. It's going to tell me I need 8 inches off of it, or 0.68 feet meters. But it'll help me tune that into where I want it to be. So then once I go to 21.250, once I have the perfect antenna, it's all zeroed out. So that would be fantastic if that happened right the first time. But let's get back to the bench and we will start putting this little project together.
All right, so we know what we're supposed to be doing now. So let's just get to it. I've got all my materials out here. I'll kind of go through it and just kind of show you what the plan is, and then we'll get to work. All right, well, first of all, we got this. It's just a plastic cutting board off of Amazon. It was like $3 or something. So nice kind of rigid piece of plastic is what I'm going to end up doing, is just cutting out a little square here to serve as kind of the backbone for all of the components. And then I've got a little SO239 and all the hardware there, little ring terminal that I'll put on the shield side, and then into here to kind of get that shield connection on that side there, and strippers, and I've got clippers and strippers and different size drill bits. I like these things, kind of show this off. It's a zip tie. It's got a little notch in here so you can pull it down. It's like a reusable zip tie, and then it's got a rubber lining on it too. These work really good for putting this kind of stuff onto mast, because then you can kind of suck it down, it'll stick to the mast, doesn't slide or anything, and then you can get it apart easier and reuse them down the road. So check out these things too. These are, if you don't have these in your toolbox at home, I'd recommend those. Of course, I've got like soldering iron. This is a gas powered, they call it an ultra torch, super old. Somebody gave it to me a long time ago, and it keeps working, so it's nice and handy. Out of all my soldering irons, that's the one I use the most if I'm either in the garage or outside or something working on the antenna, so that's kind of nice. And then I've got a couple different types of wire here, but as what I'm going to use for this project is some of this stuff off like Amazon. It's a Chinese company, BN Tech Go. This happens to be 26 gauge. It's super small. I like to keep this in my my go bag or something, so if I need to build an end fed half wave or just a kind of a field expedient dipole or something out in the field, it's nice and lightweight. It seems to hold up okay, so we're going to try it on this project and see if it lasts outside with a little bit of wind and stuff on it over the long run. So kind of a long ongoing experiment there. And then we've got, this is just some guy wire. I got this from DX Engineering when I put up the mast. If you haven't watched that video, you should go check that one out. That one was pretty fun, kind of a build and project, but this is what I guy it with. So I'll use this to tie off to the ends and then tie it off to my anchors on my end points to keep the antenna in the air and tight. So with that, let's start drawing out on our board here. So basically what I'll do is I'll cut this probably somewhere like this, just kind of cut all this stuff out, and then I'll have this in here somewhere so that I can attach a coax to it. So I'll drill out a hole somewhere in here, should be plenty good there. And then is what I'll do is I'm going to have a hole here and here for my zip tie to sit through and get to the mast. And then once I drill this out, I'll go through and I'll dot the holes and get the hardware built there. And then I'm going to have another couple holes here and here, and those will be where I'll run the wire from the SO239 to here for tension relief, and then from there it'll go out, and that'll be the dipole out from there. So let's get drilling on that. Well, I think that turned out okay. I like to use a little something to get it up out of the air, so when I drill through it I don't mar up the rest of it. In fact, I might even use the cutting board like a cutting board. There we go. So we will do this here in the camera a little better, but first of all, I'm just going to do like a pilot hole. Once you start using your bigger drill bits, it's a little bit of a pain to start. Alright, so now we've got that all cleaned up. Is what I did is I took a little sandpaper around the corners and around the backs and stuff and just kind of got it all cleaned up. So now it's just a matter of getting this thing all attached here, and then we'll start doing some wires. Okay, and then I'm going to save the last one for when I have this set up. I can put this in here on the back side and it'll go up and around and out. So I'll save that last bolt for when I'm putting this all together here. But there we have that. Getting closer. All right, so we got this down. I did off camera just tighten that up a little bit too, so that's nice and sturdy. But now we need some wire. So take my wire out, and if you remember on the chart, we had a little over 11.5. So what I'll figure out is I'll take 23 feet, and then I'll fold that in half and snip it, and that'll be a little bit, I guess, a little bit more than 23 feet, and then we'll have a little extra room there. But I always kind of add a few inches or so, depending on the band and stuff. But so what I'll do is I'll start measuring this, and I actually have my workbench. That's kind of a tip if you like building antennas. I have them marked out. So this is actually a 48-inch bench, so I do have it marked for each individual foot, but it's perfectly 4 foot, so it helps. So what we need to do is get these attached so that when we hook up our coax, we can go from here to here. So what I want to do is I'm going to get the center one in first, and then I'll add my little ring terminal to the other one and get that attached up here. My center will come from here to here and then out. Then we'll put a loop on the end of that. We'll get it up attached and go measure it, and then is what we'll do is we will trim off the ends until we have it where we want it. But let's get that attached now. All right, got the soldering iron warmed up. We'll just put a little on there. Now I've got a little solder in here already, so it should be able to just warm this thing up, drop this thing in, and it should just be good, just that easy. Okay, so this is just a crimp connector, so we're going to get this in here. And oops, I knew I was going to do that. Now it's not the prettiest crimp job, but I think it's going to work. And then is what we'll do. And I really buggered that thing up. That's all right. We're going to lay it down in here and add a little solder to it anyhow. And there we have it. It should be soldered down. This through here, something like that. Let that thing cool off a little bit while I grab my stuff. All right, my camera kind of overheated, but I guess what I got done here is I've got this ring terminal hooked up, screwed down, so we got that. So now what we need to do is we need to thread this through. And this will be our strainer leaf, because what we'll do is make a little loop here. And fix this together with a little piece of tape. Finer art of ham radio is just getting it close, making it work. It's not going to be the prettiest thing, but we're not trying to sell these either. So we're just trying to get on the air. So that will give you your strainer leaf. So then there's no tension here. It's all right here. And then we'll do the same thing on this side. Make sure we don't have any tangles in here. Suppose a guy could use a little bit of heat shrink or something too, if you planned ahead and kind of got that on there and weaved through there as you were putting it together, and have a little bit of heat shrink and probably make it look quite a bit better there. So now we just want to make sure that this is pulling on this and not on this, because that's what's going to hurt. You know, if this is moving around or anything too much, it's going to eventually wear itself out and come off there. But now we have ourselves a nice handy dipole. So next step is to get this thing hung up, and then we'll take a measurement and see what kind of adjustments we need. The last thing I need to do though is I need to make a loop on the end of these. So what I can do is I can just kind of twist this around, and this wire doesn't really hold too well. You'll see it comes right off. Kind of like that about this wire, but a lot of your other wires and stuff that you'll use are stiff enough they'll hold the loop without having to tape it or anything. But so what I'm going to do on this is I'm just going to put a little piece of tape on this loop. We'll be coming back, and we just need it to hold long enough to get it up in the air, and then once we take our initial measurement, then we'll come back and we'll trim it down and or fold it back on itself a little bit more. Okay, there it is.
And so this is what it looks like attached to the mast. And then this is kind of how I just tied it off temporarily before I tune it. All right, so we did a sweep and swept from 19.5 to 21.5. This green bar is the 15-meter band, and we're a little long, which we knew because we kind of did that on purpose to make sure we had enough. So this actually calculates out, it doesn't show it on the screen, it's 19.96. So I'm going to come over here and we're going to go, this is where we're at, 19.96. We're going to hit enter. It's telling me I need to take 8 inches off, 8.5 inches off each side. But I'm going to go outside and I'm going to take it down, and I'm going to take off a roughly 8.5 inches. Probably I'll just do 8 inches, and that's going to be measured from the bend on the, the furthest point on the thing after you bend it back. So I'll go do that, and then we'll scan it again and see where it's at. And the theory is behind this whole calculator is that it will, if I take the 8.4 inches off, it'll be right at 21.25, and that's at its current location where it is set up. So there's a lot of things that can affect an antenna once you get it up there. Any metal objects within a wavelength and stuff like that, actually, in the height above ground, and there's a lot of different factors and stuff too. But that's outside of the scope of this video. But let me go and we'll go cut a little 8 inches off and go from there. All right, so we just got done with our second sweep. The blue line here is the old one, and the kind of the brown or orange goofy colored one is the new one. And so you can see that it's taken off that 8 inches, and remember it said 8.5 or almost 8.5, so it would have moved it over a little bit more. But that's how easy it is to do that. So now we're right smack in the middle of 15 meters, or a little off to the edge, but it'll work. The highest part across 15 meters is like 1.35 or something is what it was when I was clicking around on it. So it's well within usable SWR, and we should be all set to go to use this. Well, there you have it. We've got a 15-meter dipole. Not that hard to build, very easy. If you're going to plan on building one of these, please drop a comment and say thanks, or any other comment, I guess, too. If you have any other ideas or anything to add or whatnot like that, please feel free to drop a comment. Make sure you subscribe also, because the next thing we're going to do in the next episode is going to be make this thing multi-banded. I'll show you how to do that, and we're going to build a multi-band dipole. So maybe comment in the comments which bands you'd like to see on a multi-band dipole, and I will show you how that works too. Thanks for watching, and 73s.